Friends, welcome to the first class of Advanced Control Systems. As we all know that you have gone through the topics of control systems in your former semester. So based on the knowledge of control systems, the linear algebra, we are going to learn the topics of advanced control systems. This course is more oriented towards the computational operation of control system problems. So once you design a problem on pen and paper, you can feed a model design to the computers and solve it with the ease of computers. So this is the beginning of your journey towards the computational approach of control systems. So this course is divided into 4 units, and basically these all 4 units are independent course within itself. So definitely this course is going to be a big syllabus, and to cope up with the complete syllabus you have to be regular in the course. So these 4 units, which are self-sufficient within each unit, we will learn one by one starting from the first unit. So the first unit is basically your introduction towards the computational approach. Then the second unit will give you more into the computational approach, that is the digital approach in the control system applications. Then we will learn about the nonlinear systems and another advanced topic of control systems, that is the adaptive control system. Now as such, the name of the course is Advanced Control Systems, but this was advanced around 60s and 70s when the control engineers were moving towards the computational techniques from their regular techniques or analog approaches. So let us have an overview of each unit with the help of certain examples. So here on the screen you are presented with the transfer function in S domain, which you are aware of as you have gone through the control system course. This transfer function can be represented in the form of matrix when you are considering the entire system for our problem. So you can see that below is a matrix which is the coefficient of the state vector x. So we will learn state vector in detail in this course. So we have x dot equal to some matrix multiplied by x plus some matrix multiplied by u. Then on the right you will say y is equal to some matrix multiplied by the state vector x. So here we have x dot equals to some matrix multiplied by x, that is basically the state vector, which determines or which gives you an idea about the present state or present situation of a system which is running. Then the second matrix, which is a coefficient of u, this is basically called a vector which has only one column. So this vector represents the input of the system. So this is also called the input vector. On the right you have y, which is the output of a system, which is equal to some vector multiplied by some matrix multiplied by the state vector x. So this matrix is basically a transpose of a vector, that is n1, n2, n3 and n4. So that is how we are transforming the transfer functions in the S domain into the digital domain, which is expressed basically in the form of matrices and vectors. So we need to operate matrices and vectors to solve our problems on the computers, because once you get the problem in the state form like this, in the form of vectors and matrices, then we can apply many different mathematics, that is from the linear algebra, to solve our problems. So going further, we see two special applications of the approach towards computational solutions. So these are controllability and observability, two important concepts among many concepts we are going to learn in this unit. So basically you can see above is a block where you are seeing that it is written plant. So it has some input u and some output y. So this is basically, here it is shown as a linear model of a plant, but in reality that will be a real plant that is generally non-linear. So this plant is basically, I am trying to control its output with the help of some special technique. So those special techniques are obtained through the observer block, which is shown below, where we are trying to imitate the output of the plant through a special digital technique. So you can see there is a block which shows plus minus, so that you can compare the artificially generated output, which is my desired output, with the actual output, and based on that error you modify the input, that is the u you are modifying with the help of this error information. So going further to the second unit, which is the discrete systems, also in the control domain we will call it digital control systems. So here a block diagram is there, which is a special extract of the block diagram which we have studied in the control systems. So here you can see that the error signal, which is a comparison of the reference input and the output measured back, passes through a sampler. So you will see that sample and hold circuit. So in your experiment also you have the zero order hold and first order hold, so you will understand better in this course. So the output of the sampler will go into an analog to digital converter. The purpose of it is that the output is sampled, so the signal is held for some time, so that it should not change with time. So once it is held for some time, you can operate on this information. So that information is fed into the analog to digital converter, and which produces the combination of different voltages, the digital voltages, and based on that you can operate the entire control signal in the digital domain within the digital processor. So in the digital processor we will process the signal to develop a modified signal, which will be basically the control signal. So the developed signal as the output of the digital processor will go into the digital to analog converter, because we have to actuate a component of the plant which will actually control the physical activities. So digital to analog converter will convert the digital signals into analog signal, which will go to the actuator, and the actuator will be fixed into the plant G, which will operate different control system components of the plant. So eventually the output C is modified in this way. So here a big component of the signal is modified in digital domain, and within the digital domain the signal is modified to generate the control signal. So a very good example is there. We have the digital control system in almost every applications in this world, and one such application is helicopter control. So in the laboratory we have a helicopter model which has two propellers, one for the upward movement, that is called the hive movement, and another for the azimuth movement, that is the movement of the tail rotor. So this complete system is controlled with the aid of computer. So entire control signal is developed by a processing on the computer. So for this, the output of the helicopter model is collected through an optical encoder. That encoder registers the change in position of the rotors. So once the main axis of the helicopter model moves, so its position change is recorded through the optical encoder, and this signal is sent to the computer, and there in the computer processing is done on the signal, and by after digital processing again analog signal is produced back by the computer at its output through digital to analog converter, and that signal goes to the plant for maneuvering. So same thing is practiced in the actual helicopter also in different phases of its control. So to go into the little deeper of the digital control or discrete systems, here we have the transfer functions in the form of Z instead of S. So we can transform the S domain transfer function into Z domain transfer function, and again from Z domain transfer function we can transform into the digital domain, that is the last equation which shows x as a function of k. K is basically instant of time, so x as a function of k equals to 2k plus 0.5 power k. So here k is the instant of time. Suppose you have sampled the entire signal over 1 millisecond of instants. So 1 millisecond is the sampling time period. So every 1 millisecond you are collecting the data. So x is the state information which is collected at every 1 millisecond time instant, and this discrete data is registered and manipulated for further information. So in digital domain, such state equations in discrete time domain will help in developing the difference equations, which is basically the differential equations of time domain, which is transformed into the difference equations of the discrete time domain. So during the course we will learn in detail how all these transfer functions are formed and transformed from one form to the another. So the third unit is the nonlinear systems. So every system which we experience in our daily life, and most of the times assume that this is a linear system, and we apply the linear system techniques during control systems. Already you have learned these linear system techniques, but in fact all these systems are non-linear in nature. So you can understand non-linear system means a system in which output does not vary linearly with time according to the given input. So this simple example of spring mass damper system, where instead of any other system, I have taken a simple example where we consider these systems as linear system. So the spring force FSP is applied against the applied force to the right, which is capital F, and against this capital F we have the spring force FSP and the damping force capital F subscript F, and there is displacement if the applied force capital F is more than the combined effect of damping force and the spring force. So you can see that the spring can be modeled as a function of the output gy equals to k into 1 plus a square y square then whole multiplied by y. So when we represent the complete system, it should be my double differential with respect to time c d by dt of y plus ky plus ka square y cube equals to a cos omega t. So this is the representation of the complete spring mass damper system, which is linear obviously because of the involvement of the cubic power of y, as well as y is a dependent variable. So here you can see on the top a function which is basically representing the spring condition for different values of y dot, that is the dy by dt. So we can see the conditions and accordingly the spring will behave, and based on this behavior we can develop a situation where each state of the system represented by the state variables x1 x2, like that we can represent the system in state space like x1 dot equals to x2 and x2 dot equals to minus k by m x1 minus c by m x2 minus 1 by m neta x1 x2, which is a nonlinear function of output representing the spring behavior. So basically we have the complete system as a complicated nonlinear situation over here, which is very much different from the linear spring mass damper system which we generally study in our course in the study of control systems. So now this nonlinear system, how do we analyze it? The definition of state I will explain in the next class, because that itself will take little concentration to understand and a description. So here for the time being you understand the different character, different attributes of the system at a given point of time, which combine together to show you the behavior of the system can be represented by state. So this state, which is found by the variables x1 x2, like that, this represents the complete behavior of the system at a given point of time. So here in most of the cases in nonlinear systems we take any two states which are connected to each other through some mathematical equation, and we study how these two states together contribute for understanding the behavior of the system. So here I have taken x1 and x2. On x-axis you will see in the diagram we have x1, and on y-axis you will see in the diagram we have x2. So this x1 and x2 together are tested for different time instants, and the value of the plot are collected, and once you move from one point to another, like here we have shown that x equals to 1 1, that is x1 equals to 1 and x2 equals to 1. From there we are moving to x plus fx, where fx is showing a model of the nonlinear system which is bringing x from one point to another, where the value is 3, 2, where 3 is x1 and for x2 it is 2. So this complete directional movement helps us in understanding the behavior of the system. So such plots are called as polar plots, and this is a vector diagram. We have done vectorization of the state of the system. So through vectorization of the state of the system and through these polar plots we understand the behavior of the nonlinear system by applying different tools. So there are different tools in the nonlinear systems we will learn in due course. So in nonlinear systems, drawing polar plot and understanding the behavior of the system is one of the vital learning. In the last unit of your course, you will be understanding different applications of Lyapunov theorems, and basically we will suggest certain control laws through this theorem which help us in finding out a very stable situation for a system to be controlled. So again, that depends upon both linear control theory and nonlinear control theory, and we will see the situations with different examples. So in Lyapunov control theory we basically define certain functions which will help us in understanding or designing a system for its stability through a control law. And another important topic of the last unit is the adaptive control system, where you can see the system controller parameters varies with time as per the requirement. So you see the control law is shown by an arrow which varies with time, and there is an adaptation mechanism shown below in the block, which is basically comparing the system output, that is the system under control, with a reference model. Suppose I want a system to behave as if A divided by S plus B. So I will define a reference model equal to A divided by S plus B, and the actual plant may be more complicated than this, but the two outputs are compared and the error signal is sent back for modification of control law, so that the system's behavior should be as if it is A divided by S by B and not the actual system under control. In that way, we can very well obtain the desired output of the system. So this adaptive control mechanism is very well applied in the field and most popular in these days. So with this all 4 units we will complete this course, and because I have already said that this all 4 units are independent courses within itself, so we have to attend every class in a thorough way so that no lecture is missed and no concept is also missed. So there are several textbooks and reference books, but 2 important reference books which are mentioned in your syllabus is by Dorff, the State Space Analysis, Modern Control Systems. This is by Pearson publication. And another one is the Digital Control and State Variable Methods by Professor M. Gopal. And these 2 books may be referred, and otherwise from time to time I will share the reference books which you need to take or consider to understand the subject or understand the topic, because there are aggregate of 4 different courses, so there are many books involved, so you need not go through each and every book. The notes should be sufficient and the video lecture should be attended very regularly. So friends, with this we conclude the first day introductory lecture, and definitely in the coming video lecture we will start with understanding the concept of state of a system. Thank you for your patient listening.